Reviewing all 32 teams in the month of June, now with the skull, the Minnesota Vikings, coming off an incredibly fun, at least 14-3 season, which came crashing out in the playoffs relatively quickly. They didn't last long after a great season. Of course, they had Sam Darnold last year, who had the amazing resurgent season he had, but unfortunately, he couldn't get it done in the playoffs, and he couldn't get it done the last week of the season when they tried to win a division against Detroit. Decided to move off of Darnold, and they're going to go with their rookie, who they drafted a year ago, got hurt in the preseason, and hasn't played a game in the NFL yet, J.J. McCarthy. All of the questions are about J.J. McCarthy. Is he the guy? We don't know, but we'll find out very shortly. So the Minnesota Vikings in the offseason, they added a couple defensive tackles to bolster up Brian Flores' defense. Got veteran Jonathan Allen. Also got Javon Hargrave, a couple guys that can make a difference. Signed center Ryan Kelly, who's a veteran, good center, good addition. They also re-signed Aaron Jones, who had a great season for them last year. Added running back Jordan Mason from the 49ers, who's really good if he can stay healthy. He's just had a lot of issues with that. Of course, their big all-season loss was Sam Darnold. We look at the draft. So the Minnesota Vikings in the draft went offensive line with Donovan Jackson in the first round, turned around in the third round, went wide receiver with Ty Felton. So tried to address some needs right there. Of course, you don't really need too much at receiver when you got Justin Jefferson, arguably the best in the league, either him or Jamar Chase, and then you got Addison, who's also very good number 2 receiver. We look at the Minnesota Vikings schedule in the year. They open up the year at Chicago. They got Atlanta at home. They got Cincinnati at home. They go to Pittsburgh. They got Cleveland at home, and then they got a bye week. And then the schedule gets really tough after the bye week. They host Philadelphia. They go to the Chargers. They go to Detroit, and they host Baltimore. So that's a really tough 4-game stretch. And they end the season at home against both Detroit and Green Bay. So if they can stay within shouting distance of those teams, you got them both at home to end the season. A lot of question marks, mainly at the quarterback position for the Minnesota Vikings. 14-3 a year ago. I think they can have a good season, go further in the playoffs, but they'll definitely take a step back from that record. I can see them going 10-7. Reviewing all 32 teams in the month of June, now with the skull